They warned me about working at Blackwood Pines, whispered rumors of a place where the lines blurred, where sanity crumbled like dry leaves underfoot. But fresh out of nursing school, fueled by youthful idealism, I scoffed at their fears. I was here to help, not be consumed. Now, 6 months later, the laughter that once echoed in the sterile hallways has been replaced by a chilling silence, punctuated only by the mournful howls that reverberate through the night. Tonight, I huddle in the deserted nurses' station, the flickering fluorescent light casting grotesque shadows on the walls. My hands tremble as I clutch the worn staff manual, its pages offering no solace in the face of the chaos that has unfolded. It started subtly, missing medications, misplaced charts, an unsettling feeling of being watched. Then, the incidents escalated. A patient found hanging in his room, the security footage inexplicably blank. Another, a young girl with perpetually vacant eyes, began speaking in tongues, her voice dripping with a chilling malice. The patients, once wary, became increasingly agitated. Their whispers morphed into open defiance, their eyes gleaming with a spark of something feral. Dr. Harris, the head psychiatrist, a man with an air of perpetual exhaustion, dismissed it as a side effect of a new medication trial. I wasn't convinced. Then came the night the power went out. The darkness descended like a suffocating cloak, plunging the hospital into an abyss punctuated only by the panicked screams of the patients. My flashlight beam cut through the inky blackness, revealing gaunt faces contorted in terror. A low guttural growl echoed through the sterile corridors, a sound that sent shivers down my spine. We huddled together in the darkness, a fragile island of normalcy in a sea of madness. That night, Dr. Harris revealed a secret hidden within the hospital's dusty archives. Blackwood Pines wasn't just a psychiatric facility. It was built on a site steeped in darkness. An asylum, it had housed the criminally insane, their tortured souls forever trapped within the walls. The renovations, the sterile white paint, it was all a facade to mask the festering evil beneath. The power returned the next morning, revealing a scene of utter chaos. Furniture overturned, walls smeared with cryptic symbols, and a chilling silence where the screams had been. We found some of the patients huddled in corners, gibbering nonsensically, their eyes glazed over. Others were missing. Dr. Harris was gone too, leaving behind only a frantic note scrawled on a discarded clipboard. "The darkness is awake. Don't let it consume you." Now I'm alone, the last sane soul within this bastion of madness. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of the light, feels like a malevolent presence closing in. The howls have grown closer, a chorus of tormented voices pleading for release. I know I can't stay, but the thought of stepping outside into that darkness is even more terrifying. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream rips through the air. It's coming from the restricted wing, the one Dr. Harris had warned me never to enter. My first instinct is to run, to flee this place and never look back. But a morbid curiosity, a chilling sense of responsibility, holds me back. With trembling hands, I grab a rusty crowbar and make my way towards the source of the scream. I know I'm walking towards something terrible, but what choice do I have? This is my descent into madness, and there's no turning back. As I approached the restricted wing, the air grew thick with a palpable sense of dread. The screams, once distant, were now a cacophony of terror echoing through the sterile corridors. My heart pounded in my chest, a drumbeat of fear against the silence of my own breath. The door to the wing was heavy steel, reinforced with multiple locks. It took all my strength to pry it open, the rusty hinges groaning in protest. As the door creaked open, a gust of cold, fetid air washed over me, carrying with it the scent of decay and despair. Inside, the darkness was absolute, broken only by the faint glow of my flashlight. The walls were slick with dampness, and the air hung heavy with the stench of something foul. I stepped cautiously into the gloom, my senses on high alert. The screams seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, a disorienting symphony of terror. I stumbled through the labyrinthine corridors, the flashlight beam cutting through the darkness like a beacon in a storm. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, its eyes glowing with an eerie luminescence. It was a patient, but not one I recognized. His face was gaunt and emaciated, his skin stretched tight over his skull. His eyes, once human, were now black voids, swirling with a malevolent energy. I raised my flashlight, the beam illuminating the creature's twisted features. It let out a guttural growl, its voice a chilling blend of human and animal. I turned to flee, but my legs felt like lead. The creature lunged, its gnarled fingers outstretched, its breath reeking of decay. I screamed, a primal cry of terror that echoed through the corridors. The creature closed in, its shadow looming over me. I braced myself for the inevitable, but then something unexpected happened. A blinding flash of light erupted from the end of the corridor, momentarily stunning the creature. I used the opportunity to break free and sprint towards the light. As I ran, I could hear the creature's enraged screeches behind me. The light led me to a room at the end of the wing, its door slightly ajar. I burst inside, slamming the door shut behind me. The room was empty save for a single window, its bars bent and twisted. With a surge of adrenaline, I ripped the bars loose and clambered out into the night. I landed hard on the cold, damp ground, my body aching from the fall. But I didn't dare stop. I ran through the woods, the screams of the creature fading behind me. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't go back. I ran until my lungs burned and my legs gave out. I collapsed under a gnarled old tree, gasping for breath. The night was still, save for the rustling of leaves in the wind. I closed my eyes, trying to process the horrors I had witnessed.
Had it all been a nightmare? A hallucination brought on by stress and exhaustion? I opened my eyes, half expecting to see the Blackwood Pines looming over me. But there was only the forest, the moon casting an eerie glow through the trees. I wasn't sure if I had escaped Blackwood Pines or if it had escaped me. The darkness within its walls had seeped into my soul, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurk in the shadows. I knew I would never be the same. As the first rays of dawn pierced the darkness, I rose from the ground, my body stiff and sore. I took one last look at Blackwood Pines, its silhouette stark against the rising sun. Then, I turned and walked away, leaving behind the haunted halls and the howling darkness. But I knew I would never truly escape. Blackwood Pines would forever be etched in my memory, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lies within us all. The walk back to civilization felt like an eternity. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sent shivers down my spine. I reached a small town on the outskirts, a haven of normalcy amidst the creeping dread. The local authorities were skeptical of my story, of course. Blackwood Pines had been shut down years ago, condemned due to structural hazards. My frantic ramblings about possessed patients and howling darkness fell on deaf ears. But I knew the truth. The darkness at Blackwood Pines wasn't confined to its walls. It had taken root within me, a silent scream trapped in my soul. Now, I carry that burden, a constant reminder of the night the howling halls claimed my sanity, leaving behind a chilling echo that will forever haunt my dreams.